What do NFL coaches, brain surgeons, and criminal defense lawyers have in common? In today's video, I'm going to share the answer to this question and how a common question I hear caregivers ask all the time is actually preventing them or hurting them from getting the support and information they are so desperately looking for when it comes to dementia caregiving. Careblazer, welcome back to the channel. In the month of April, I am doing a series on controversial and unpopular opinions when it comes to dementia caregiving. I don't think it's okay for us to shy away from the hard topics that I see a lot in my daily practice and that you probably see and experience on a daily basis as a caregiver. We've already talked about lying to somebody with dementia, having a relationship with somebody else when you're caring for a spouse or partner with dementia. Today, we are going to talk about the one statement and question I hear all the time that I truly think is holding caregivers back. And I want to share it with you in hopes that it'll help you receive the help and support that could be available to you. So let's answer the question. What does an NFL coach, a brain surgeon, and a criminal defense lawyer have in common? They have never actually done the thing or needed the thing that they are helping others with. So the majority of NFL coaches have never been an NFL player, a football player. The majority of brain surgeons have never needed brain surgery themselves. The majority of criminal defense attorneys have never committed a criminal offense. But does that mean they can't help the person? Does it mean because the brain surgeon has never had to have brain surgery, they can't help the person who needs it? Or the NFL coach who has never played professional football, that they are not able to coach a professional team? Or the criminal defense attorney who has never committed a crime, they can't help a criminal? No, of course they can help. But the question I hear a lot and see a lot from caregivers whenever there is somebody who could potentially help them is this question of, have you ever cared for somebody with dementia? Or, well, if you've never cared for somebody with dementia, then you can't help. And while certainly I don't think people could fully understand a caregiver's experience unless you've been in that position, I truly believe that. I don't believe that if the person has not been in that position, that they can't be helpful. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. In fact, I also see a downside of that person's personal experiences of caregiving clouding them and not allowing them to see things objectively when it comes to helping somebody else. In what other area of medical or mental health help do you ask this question? I'd actually really love to know, if you do this in other situations with your medical health or your mental health, let me know in the comments. But most people, are you asking the addictions counselor helping your family member? Well, do you have a family member who has an addiction? Otherwise, I don't think you can help my loved one. Does the brain surgeon have to have done brain surgery on themselves or on another family member for them to be a good brain surgeon? No, you probably would never ask that question. Our natural human brains feed us all kinds of lines that sound logical and reasonable. And what we don't realize is by simply asking that question and having that statement, what's underneath that is this belief that unless somebody has been through it, they cannot be helpful. They might not be the best person for you to talk about your hardships and difficulty and just have somebody commiserate or just be there with you or share stories back and forth. They're probably not going to be a great person for that at all. But might they be able to understand what medications they could prescribe or what behavioral interventions might work or what the research shows? I believe it's wonderful to have all and everybody involved, but I wholeheartedly want to ask you to pause the next time you find yourself saying something like, well, unless you've cared for somebody with dementia, you can't help. Or have you ever cared for somebody with dementia? Underneath that, you're filtering out if the answer is no, they can't help. And that's not necessarily true. And the opposite, like I mentioned earlier, in fact, of people who maybe have had a family experience and maybe that's it. Maybe they're not an expert in dementia care, but they've cared for their loved ones. So they're an expert in their loved one's care. When they go to help somebody else, they're only filtering things through having experienced one person with dementia versus experiencing thousands of people with dementia and understanding the literature and the research and what's on the horizon and different modalities and things that can help. And so when you're dealing with somebody only on the basis of if you've cared for one person in your life with dementia before, I think you're setting yourself up to be in a little bit of a disadvantage. And in fact, in some some ways closing yourself up from a lot of other possibilities that can help. Have you ever asked this question out loud or internally and use that as a basis of whether or not you were going to listen to that doctor or listen to that healthcare provider you just saw in the clinic? It's a question I hear so much, but I never hear it in any of the other disciplines. That's why I'm also curious. Are you asking the oncologist trying to cure your loved one from some type of cancer if they've ever had to help cure a family member with cancer? And if they say no, you're not thinking they can be helpful? I can talk a lot about these thought errors or these like lines that sound like they would make sense and that they're good. But when we question it deeper, we realize it's actually holding us back and closing us off from possible resources that can be helpful. What do you think about this, Careblazer? I really want to know your thoughts. Do you still believe this? Do you think that it is a great way to function, that the only help you should receive should only be from people who have been through your experience? Like, let me know what your thoughts are about this. But I really wanted to do this on an unpopular opinion and a controversial topic because I've never heard a video done about this. And I think that there's a lot of people out there who can be incredibly helpful. And here's the other thing. If there's any group of people who I see as looking for a lot of support and trustworthy information, it's dementia caregivers. I get messages from around the world every day, all day, 24 hours a day, and they're all looking for help, or they have a specific difficult situation that they're wanting my feedback on. And what I can see is that they're not getting that information in other places. But I'm also wondering, are we closing ourselves off from possible places that could be helpful simply because they don't have that similar situation as you're going through right now? All right, Careblazer, food for thought on this April series of unpopular opinions. I think it's important that we talk about these things and to have open dialogue back and forth about what different perspectives are. And you're more than welcome, of course, to keep your own opinions about whatever you want to keep. But if you are somebody who is asking this question and finding you're not finding the support that at the level you want, you might want to question that belief a little bit and ask yourself, why is it okay for this individual to help me or a family member if they've never had a personal experience, yet in this dementia caregiving world, it's not? All right. I'm sending you so much love. Bye.
Also, Nico gets a belly rub for every person who subscribes from this video. So if you haven't already, click the red subscribe button. It's totally free. And Nico says, thank you very much.